You eventually have to put the gun down anyway, right? Why don't you just put it down now and let me get dressed? Stupid motherfucker! I don't need this shit. Shit.
On a bright morning in the city of Atlanta, Jaxen, an ex-cop, is woken by a call from Riri. He has a job for Jax. Apparently, a woman named Ms. Jordan has contacted him about her daughter Lisa, who's in a violent, abusive marriage with Dr. Myers. Jax's job is simple: scare Myers. Ree knows Jax doesn't like domestic drama or bullies. Ms. Jordan has $500, but Ree is willing to put in another $1,500. Jax heads over to the gym where Myers works out and sees him lifting weights. He even helps him, making Myers comfortable. Jax makes a comment about his big size compared to handling surgical tools, and that's enough to tell Myers he isn't there for a friendly workout session. Jax tells him why he's come. He makes it clear Lisa knows nothing about this meeting and has no part in hiring him. He's only working on behalf of concerned individuals whose sole purpose is to put an end to the issue. To put it plainly, Myers has to stop hitting his wife. Bringing out his masculine ego, Myers calls him the N-word, wondering who he thinks he is to tell him what to do. He mocks Jax, asking if he's supposed to say he's sorry and will never hit her again. With a straight face, Jax assures him he will say those exact words before he leaves the room, but warns him never to call him the N-word again. Really angry now and ready to teach Jax a lesson, Myers pulls off his sweatshirt, showing off his big, muscled build. He tells Jax he doesn't even know what Lisa did, and secondly, he has no right to come into his gym and chastise him about his wife. He orders Jax to leave while he still can, but Jax just gets up, turns, and removes his cap. Myers swings at him from behind, but Jax intercepts with a hard side kick before taking off his jacket completely. He gives Myers a good beating, leaving Myers no choice but to sit on the floor. Schooling him like a high school kid, Jax tells Myers to buy Lisa fancy things, promise to get therapy, and then take her on a nice vacation. If she asks about his bruised face, he can say he took an MMA class at the gym, and that the other guy looked worse. Guess that should soothe his bruised ego. Before Jax leaves, Myers says the exact words Jax promised he would say. Meanwhile, Jahari, an R&B star, leaves the studio after a long and tiring session. She soon realizes she's in trouble when she notices it isn't her driver Eddie behind the wheel. At the club where Jax works as head of security, he teaches a stubborn man in the restroom a lesson, then tells Gage, the security guard at the front, to take the man outside. Inside the security room, Ree gives him the money, but Jax returns the $500 for Ms. Jordan. His attention is caught by someone on the CCTV screens, and he rushes out. It turns out to be Gina, Jax's longtime friend, who he clearly still has feelings for, and they greet warmly. She's now into event planning and has come to check out a band she plans on hiring. They spend the whole night catching up and learning about each other's lives. They take this to Jax's house, and Gina is impressed with the place. When she spots a Wing Chun dummy, she surprises Jax by taking a few practice swings at it. She's really improved since the last time he taught her, and she admits she's been practicing. She challenges him to a duel, and her martial arts skills are just as sharp as Jax's. Martial arts combat soon turns into something more intense, and they continue their battle in the other room, enjoying the pleasure of their lives. The next morning, Jax wakes up to an empty bed, but the sound of the elevator makes him get up. It's a delivery man with a package for him. After signing and taking the box, Jax opens it to find a beautiful ceramic vase and a card that makes him smile. However, the smile disappears when a gun is cocked behind him. A man named Holland, who Jax works with, has sent 2 of his men to come get him. Jax doesn't like the gun pointed at him and tells the man wielding it to drop it, but the man refuses. They get into a full-blown argument about it, with Jax pointing out how stupid it is for someone to keep a gun aimed at him for the whole ride. Jax is definitely focused on the wrong thing. The other man just watches while they bicker, like siblings. The gunman finally relents so Jax can get dressed, but Jax uses the opportunity to attack and gain control of the weapon. Since he doesn't like guns, he tosses it away, but it hits and breaks the vase. With this distraction, the gunman attacks, but Jax takes him out. The other man charges too, but Jax does what he does best, knocking him unconscious in a few seconds. When it comes to hand-to-hand combat, Jax is always in control. He puts them in the elevator and sends them downstairs. Using the intercom, he tells the doorman Willis about the 2 men who've magically tripped over themselves, and asks him not to let them back up. Afterward, he heads over to Holland's record company, Swerve, storms past the secretary, Lonnie, and interrupts Holland's meeting by throwing the delivery box on the table. Holland takes control of the situation and asks Lonnie to take the clients out. Now alone, Jax tells him how his guys broke his vase and that he needs $2,000 for it. Holland says he only sent his guys because he wants to hire Jax, which prompts Jax to tell him he has a crazy way of hiring. Holland calls Lonnie and asks her to send the money to Jax, taking it out of the client's budget, the so-called client who hasn't even signed a contract yet. Jax calls him out for already scamming them, but Holland isn't bothered. Holland asks for 2 minutes to explain the job while they wait for Lonnie to get the cash, and Jax agrees. He needs Jax to find Jahari, the company's biggest selling act and also Holland's biggest source of aggravation. She has a new album ready to drop, but she's disappeared. Jax suggests he call the cops, but Holland can't. He's about to take the company public, and if people find out he can't manage his star, it won't look good. Lonnie comes in with the cash, and Jax takes it, counting to make sure it's complete. He wonders why Holland doesn't hire other people for less money and fewer headaches. But Holland reminds him he used to be Jahari's bodyguard. From his air quotes, it's clear Holland thinks Jax was more than a bodyguard. Jahari even wrote a song about him when he was her bodyguard because she fell in love. Jax doesn't take the job seriously until Holland reveals that Jahari has started using heroin again. That instantly gets Jax's attention. The last time, it nearly ended her life. When she vanished back then, the company managed to keep it out of the press, so Holland needs her back and clean to promote the album. Jax is disappointed that Holland's real concern is business, not her life. Holland shrugs it off, claiming drugs and singers have always been intertwined. He didn't get Jahari hooked, but now he has to deal with it. Jax charges him $50,000, half up front, half on delivery. Holland pulls the first half from his desk, surprising Jax. He's had that money all along, but made him wait for Lonnie to bring the $2,000. Holland claims that if he'd given it right away, Jax wouldn't have listened to his offer. Jax isn't promising anything, but agrees to look. At Lonnie's desk, he apologizes for barging past her earlier and asks her to contact him if she hears or sees anything that might help. To make her more willing, he slips her some cash and asks her to dinner, which she readily accepts. Women and money, after all, are like 5 and 6. In his office, Holland takes a call, but it doesn't sound like good news. At the club, Jax interrupts Ree, who's busy flirting with a woman, and gently pulls him away. Ree complains all the way to the security room since he was just about to seal the deal with her. Jax asks for some time off, explaining the job Holland hired him for. It's going to be difficult because he's been out of touch with Jahari for a while and has no idea where she might be. Being in the club business, Ree has heard she's been hanging around with a guy named Money who owns a place called Moneymakers. Jax gets a text from Gina and leaves immediately. That evening, he meets Gina and gives her flowers, but she's not happy. After what she thought was a wonderful night together, she sent him the vase and even called, but he had the audacity to hang up on her. Jax starts to walk away, but she stops him, suggesting they talk, even if she's angry. She's disappointed. She thought he was better than this. Jax assures her he is. In as few words as possible, he explains what happened at his place and says they'll have to pause whatever they have. He doesn't want her hurt if things turn serious. After some pressure, he finally tells her about Jahari. The first thing she comments on is his relationship with Jahari and the song she wrote about him. It's apparently common knowledge to everyone but Jax. He slows her down, asking to finish the job first, then pick up where they left off. Gina agrees, but tells him he's not the same man she was with the night before. She heads inside. Jax drives to Moneymakers and approaches Money and his crew. He asks for a word, telling Money he has information he might want. In Money's office, Jax explains the situation. Money says Jahari told him weeks ago she was going on the DL because she was tired of record label stress. The last time he saw her was a couple of days ago. Not satisfied, Jax asks him to call her. However, the line rings, and rings. Money takes out a gun for Jax, then another for himself. Jax is confused, but Money says Jahari has never taken this long to answer, so they're going to her house. Jax refuses the gun since he doesn't like them, making Money call him strange. At her apartment, they find the place completely trashed. Money is in disbelief, calling out for Jahari as if she'll materialize from the wreckage. Jax spots a party invitation in the trash, examines it, then slips it into his pocket before Money returns. Frantic, Money says she's been taken right under his nose. Jax tells him to calm down. He doesn't even know who took her yet. It's not like he can just start beating people up until someone talks. Well, that's exactly what Money plans to do. Jax says they need a plan and asks for until the weekend. If he doesn't find her, Money can do whatever he wants. Money thinks that's too long to do nothing, but Jax points out he didn't even know she was missing. Until now. Later, Jax heads to the party from the invitation. Holland is surprised to see him, even more so in a suit. He says Jax should be looking for Jahari, not partying. Jax explains about her apartment and the invite. He thinks it's more than just career frustration, but Holland insists she probably wrecked her place during a heroin episode. Then Holland spots a woman and hurries over. Jax notices Lonnie and compliments her. The party, it turns out, is for Holland receiving a Man of the Year award, and Jax can't believe it. He asks who the woman with Holland is. Lonnie reveals it's Yuan Song, the one who pushed for Holland to get the award. She invested early in the label, has history with him, and is extremely wealthy. Gina is also at the party as the event planner, and Song is impressed with the event. Jax approaches, and Gina introduces Song. Song asks if he's there to celebrate. Jax says he's working for Holland. She's intrigued. He gives her a brief version of the situation since she's an investor. She wishes him luck, saying she's sure he'll get more than he's looking for, then moves on to greet other guests. Jax remembers something and calls after her, but her two personal guards, Fang and Lung, block his path and stare him down. Song intercepts and apologizes for their overprotective behavior, asking Jax what he wants. Jax wonders why she made Holland get the award, and she shares that Holland is a good creative before turning to leave again. Instead of following her, Fang threatens Jax in Chinese, but he visibly gets shocked when Jax also replies back in Chinese. When they leave, Gina approaches, and Jax congratulates her for the event. He moves to leave, but she suggests they talk. Meanwhile, Song scolds Fang for his behavior with Jax.
Your behavior with Mr. Jones was embarrassing.
Outside, Jax tries to tell Gina he's protecting her from any harm that could happen, but she makes it clear she can handle herself. Well, that should be as clear as daylight from her martial arts skill. Jax has never seen this side of her, and he likes it. He's lost her before, so he's not about to lose her again. To seal this, he draws her in for a passionate kiss. Trouble decides to pop its head on the very first day of their relationship because the next morning, Jax gets shot at by two men on a motorbike just outside his apartment. He manages to cover Gina and Willis, who were standing with him, then runs to stop the men with Willis's gun. He kicks the shooter, making the man fall from the moving bike, same as his helmet, revealing his face. The rider turns back, but Jax would have shot at him if Willis's gun had been working. He barely escapes being run into, and the rider drags his partner along, making an escape. Jax heads back to Gina and Willis and realizes the bullet went through Gina's shoulder. Afterward, he enters her hospital room to see her, asking how she is, but Gina honestly doesn't know at this point. Outside, he gets a call from Money and tells him they've already talked about what Money obviously wants to ask. He assures Money that he's getting closer, but Money doesn't like not being able to help. Jax tells him to calm down and asks for a big favor. Money turns out to be Gina's personal security outside her hospital room. Jax heads over to a club, where he's traced the owner of the helmet to. He meets a group of Chinese men and tells them about the situation, asking who has the helmet. They are obviously not welcoming. Speaking Chinese, one tells another to distract Jax while he stabs him from the back. If only they knew Jax speaks and understands the language. The man attacks, but Jax has already seen this coming, so he pushes him, making the knife plunge into the other man. This causes a general attack from the group as a fight breaks out. As expected, Jax takes them down and begins questioning the remaining four standing.
I got your attention now?
After shooting two down for not giving him accurate answers, he learns the names of the two men and how they were both hired by Holland. Before leaving, Jax shows them the pellets in the gun instead of bullets. In other words, no one was really shot. Jax pays an unfriendly visit to Holland, making him confess everything. It turns out Song gave him a high-interest loan because he was leveraged out. He thought he could make an above-board deal to buy, but she got more control, kidnapped Jahari, and gave him 5 days to take the offering public and get her the money, or she would have Jahari eliminated. It would create high demand for her music if she passed, and Song would force Holland to give her Swerve to ease his debt, then sell it for more money. Jax was hired so it wouldn't look like Holland knew what her plan was. Song found out about him and didn't like it, so she made Holland hire a hitman. Also, Jahari never went back to heroin. It was just a way to get Jax to accept the job. Holland feels everything is just business, but things have gotten personal for Jax. He threatens Holland for Jahari's location. Afterward, he heads over to the hospital and is pleased to see Money playing cards with Gina. He thanks Money for the help, and Money leaves. Unfortunately, Gina isn't sure she wants a relationship again because of the danger she's experienced. Though sad, Jax understands. In the parking lot, he explains things to Money, and they both leave together for where Jahari is being held. Meanwhile, Holland gets beaten by Song's men. She's found out about the visit, but Holland denies telling Jax anything. She orders him to be locked up in the warehouse and promises to find out the truth. Jax and Money are already at the location, scouting from the rooftop. Jax's idea of how they can get to the other building is to walk down the street and go through the stairs, but Money disagrees. He assembles a grappling hook gun instead, while Jax just watches in amazement. He wonders what kind of business Money was in before, and Money says he was in a boy band. What normal boy band in history knows that sort of skill? Jax follows suit and lands on the other side just before the rope unwinds. He then throws gas into the building while they wait for the next part of their plan. That would be Ree, who comes as an official with some men to check the gas leak. Unaware of their true mission, Fang allows him in. Jax and Money are already inside, while Jahari slips away from her bodyguard by saying she needs the restroom. Ree and the men begin their job, but Fang follows closely. He refuses Ree passage upstairs, but after Ree threatens to call the colonel, he agrees, asking for 5 minutes. Fang whispers instructions to a guard, Lao, and he moves. Meanwhile, Jahari takes down her guard from behind, hitting his head. Money and Jax find the guard and realize Jahari must be on a one-woman escape plan, making them split up. Fang discovers that Jahari is missing and runs out in frustration. Just as Money exits the elevator, he comes face to face with Lao's gun. Ree arrives, explaining that Money is part of the team, but Lao isn't buying it. Ree continues his ruse and breaks the wall, only to be met by a rush of gas. Money snatches the gun from Lao, but Lao draws another before he can blink, making Money hand it back. On his end, Jax finds Jahari hiding and she rushes into his arms, glad he came for her. Money lights a cigar and tries to shoot Lao, but Ree stops him. If he fires, the place will blow up because of the gas. Jax instructs Jahari to hide there, promising to come back for her. Ree's warning doesn't stop Lao and Money from fighting, and the cigar falls to the ground. Ree tries to pick it up, but another guard drags him, making it fly right into the gas. As Ree predicted, the gas ignites and the fire alarms ring. Chaos erupts as everyone begins fighting, and Gage finally unleashes his guerrilla power skills. Seeing the fire spread on the staircase where Jahari is trapped, Money tries running past, but his men stop him, pulling him away while he yells for Jahari like a lastborn, calling for his mother. Jax comes across Fang, who begins showing off his kung fu moves. Jax pulls out a gun because he doesn't have time for that, but Lung kicks him from behind. He tries aiming at Fang again, but Fang kicks the gun away. The fight becomes 2 versus 1, and Lung and Fang land a strong kick that throws Jax to the ground. Fang mocks him, then picks up his gun and shoots him before leaving with Lung. Luckily, it's just pellets in the gun, so Jax gets back up without them knowing. Unfortunately, his phone was broken during the fight. He makes his way to Jahari while Ree is already in the car with Money, assuring him Jahari is safe and probably with Jax. Thankfully, Jax escapes with Jahari. Meanwhile, Song isn't happy about the turn of events, but Fang suggests a way out. At the hospital, Myers turns out to be the one stitching up Jax, and Money comes for Jahari, hugging her warmly. Myers takes Money away for his own stitches, and Jahari thanks Jax for saving her again. He promises to get the contract from Holland's office so she can have it rescinded and break her ties with the label. She also shares that her therapist told her she went through transference the first time he saved her, which was why she liked him. There's also the savior complex, which might apply to Jax. Jax tells her how Money risked his life to save her, making her realize the rare gem she has. Jax heads over to Gina's room to check on her, but is devastated when he learns she's been discharged. He goes to the nurse and manages to get the location she went, realizing she's heading to Swerve Records. Meanwhile, Lung beats up Holland on Song's orders, and she instructs Fang to get rid of him once they've gotten everything, alongside Gina, who she has called over. Jax and Money hurry out to get her, and Jax is baffled to see yet another different car Money is driving. At this point, he seems like a car dealer. Jax calls Swerve Records, and Lonnie picks up. He instructs her not to say his name, and she quietly tells him what's happening in Holland's office. Just then, Gina walks in, making Lonnie drop the phone. As she directs Gina inside, she picks the phone back up and hears Jax telling her not to let Gina in and to get out as soon as possible. Pretending it's a work call, she hands the phone to Gina, and Jax warns that Song was behind the shooting. Gina doesn't believe him, but when Jax asks how Song knew she was in the hospital, she finally realizes the truth. Song emerges with Fang and Lung, making Gina pretend it's still a work call. She asks Lonnie where the ladies' room is and promises to meet Song afterward. Gina then takes the stairs, trying to escape the building. Jax and Money break through the gates, prompting Song's security to rush out and open fire. Jax shoots back while Money changes clothes like he's preparing for a performance, casually slinging his machine gun over his shoulder. After Jax shoots down the guards, Money strolls in as if he took part in the fight, earning a look of disbelief from Jax. Fang, furious and unable to reach his team, scrambles for answers while Jax fights his way to the rooftop. There, Jax meets Fang and Lung and gives them a brief history lesson on how the earliest complete martial arts system was discovered in Africa around 2500 BC. He explains how the Black Monk, also known as Bodhidharma, introduced the 18 hands of the low hand to the Shaolin Temple, bringing martial arts to China. He then demonstrates his own style and invites Fang and Lung to fight. They showcase their skills, but neither can match him. Jax defeats them with barely a scratch. Song appears immediately after. Jax demands Gina's release and says he has no quarrel with Song, suggesting they settle matters without a duel. But then he hears a cry for help from the rooftop. A woman is tied to a chair at the edge, about to fall. Song refuses peace, draws her sword, and attacks. Outmatched in swordplay, she cuts the rope holding the chair. Luckily, Jax grabs it just in time to stop her from plummeting. He now faces a choice between fighting Song or saving the woman. As Song raises her sword for a killing strike, Gina, who we all thought was the woman tied by the way, bursts in with a water hose and blasts Song off the rooftop with the pressure, ending her threat for good. Jax pulls the woman to safety and they realize it's Lonnie. When they return inside, they learn Holland has been eliminated, meaning he can't sign Jahari's release. Fortunately, Money has already handled it, producing a document showing Holland transferred the company to him. After checking his watch, Money urges Jax to leave, having no time to explain what he's done. Just as they both step outside, the security office on the top floor suddenly explodes. Turns out it's Money's way of covering their tracks in Holland's case. He plans to remodel it into Lonnie's new office. As thanks for helping rescue Jahari, he tosses Jax the car keys. The two men share a warm hug, solidifying their friendship. Jax and Gina then drive off together, ready to start their future. Oh yeah, it seems Song isn't history after all. If you've made it to the end, hit the like button, comment, and share. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next recap.